Buenas tardes, McAllen! Buenas tardes, McAllen! How are we feeling down here? How are we feeling up top? I'm Casar, and I'm proud to represent the heart of Texas and the United States Congress, and to welcome Bernie Sanders back to our state. You know, there's some people who have told me they don't understand why Senator Sanders would fly all the way from Vermont down to South Texas. There are some people, and it's those people who have this Texas-sized hole in their vision of the future of our country. They've just written us off. Tenemos corazón. There's those same people that say that the RGV has been bought off by billionaires, by Elon Musk, and that there's no getting it back. Short-sighted people who think that Texans are so divided that we just deserve this, that Latino communities and small-town communities in Texas deserve what we're getting. I don't think that's right. There's people who think that this is the best that we can do. But y'all, I refuse to believe that this is the best that we can do. A state where our president and our governor work for the billionaires instead of the working class. Is that the best that we can do? A state where it gets harder and harder to scrape by while campaign contributors and their Republican puppets get them tax breaks and government contracts. Is that really the best we can do? A state where every damn Republican that we send to Congress, instead of helping us, is trying to kick us off of our health care in order to make their friends more money? Is that really the best that we can do? A state where you have to worry about your family being ripped away from you on the way to school or on the way to work when they've done nothing wrong, getting ripped away from you for no damn reason? Is that the best that we can do? Do we deserve that? Texas, it's time for a change, am I right? It's time for a change. Anyone who wants you to believe that this is the best that Texas can do does not know their history. Texans won Juneteenth. Texans won Roe v. Wade. Texas is the birthplace of the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act and Medicaid and Medicare. And I'm going to tell you right now, right here, that this place, McAllen, Texas, can be the birthplace of a new Democratic Party that puts working people first, kicks out the corrupt politicians regardless of party, and saves our country for everyday people. And here's how I know, because I've seen Texans do it before. I didn't start out my career in Congress or in the C-suite or in the courthouse. I started it as a labor organizer on construction sites. And y'all know what a Texas construction site looks like. There's black workers, brown workers, white workers, immigrant workers, documented, undocumented, native-born workers, people that cross the border, people where the border crossed us. And it's a couple hundred guys with at least a couple hundred opinions. But my job was to bring everybody together. And we could all agree, no matter who you were and where you come from, that the guys out there working overtime in the hot Texas sun deserve a raise, and the billionaires in the white, big, tall, glitzy towers could afford to pay for a raise. But sometimes we'd encounter a big-time real estate developer who just didn't want to pay. You guys know the type. The kind of guy that tried to say the rules didn't apply to him and tried to make himself feel bigger by saying stuff like, "You're fired." You know the type. You know, with a cheap spray tan and they like to put their name on everything. The type who got millions of dollars for his business from his dad and then likes to call himself a genius. You know, he's got tons of money and thinks that everybody was put on earth to make him richer, but he tries to cut your health care so he can put another zero next to his paycheck. You guys know the type. And every time those developers would try to play the oldest trick in the book, they would try to divide native workers from immigrant workers, pitting brown against white against black. They wanted people to fight each other so the rich could keep on getting richer. All this is to say, I've seen Donald Trump's playbook up close before. But I have good news. Every single time that working people united and stuck together and didn't fall for the tricks, we won. I've seen Texans win a raise, win healthcare, win retirement, win childcare, win their rights. We won because there's nothing more powerful in America than working people who refuse to be divided. You see, in Texas, our playbook is old too. When working people have stood together in this state, we've won our country back. Let me tell you, they're trying to divide us. They're trying to say that the division will get worse and worse and worse so they can take over this part of our country. But let me tell you right now, Elon Musk does not own the valley. Monica de la Cruz does not own our votes. Donald Trump does not own our country. He just doesn't. And guys, we can win this change. We need this change badly. We need this change today. Because being here in South Texas, talking to y'all, I know the devastation that Trump is wreaking every single day on our families.
We are the resistance!
Let's hear it. We know he's trying to intimidate us, but I don't want to sugarcoat what he's doing. ICE showing up at schools and churches. People here with legal status, a man deported to a foreign prison because they called his autism awareness tattoo a gang symbol. A 10-year-old U.S. citizen Texas girl with brain cancer deported where she was out of reach from her doctors. And I know so many mixed status families and undocumented people who have lived here for decades without doing anything wrong, who are terrified that they could be next. If you wake up every day afraid for yourself or afraid for a loved one, I want you to know, from me and from the senator, I see you, I hear you, and we're gonna fight like hell for you. And what's just so sick about it is these right-wing politicians, they eat food cooked by immigrants. They get their fancy cars cleaned by immigrants. They do their corrupt deals and buildings built and engineered and maintained and cleaned by immigrants. And then they have the gall to turn around and say that immigrants are the problem. Give me a break. Guess what? An asylum seeker did not raise your rent. A Wall Street hedge fund did. A dreamer did not cut your health care, but a big-time campaign donor and the Republican puppet politician sure as hell did. And it's gotta stop, and we've gotta stop them. We've gotta vote them out. We gotta vote them out. Keep it going. We're gonna vote him out. And I'm here to tell you how we're gonna do it. The people who supposedly represent you right here in McAllen, Texas, like Republican Congresswoman De La Cruz, like your Republican senators, they're doing a very dangerous, but also a very unpopular and very stupid thing. They're trying to pass a billionaire budget. And everybody needs to know and tell all of their neighbors about this budget. There's 3 things you need to know. First, it's the biggest tax cut for billionaires in American history. Second, it's the biggest cut to healthcare in American history. And third, it's the biggest cut to food assistance in American history. Right here in De La Cruz's district, she's trying to kick 66,000 people off of their healthcare and raise the cost of healthcare for everybody else by about $2,000. Does that sound like what people voted for? Does that sound popular? If you look up oligarchy in the dictionary, there should just be a big picture of this bill. Oligarchy is this: the billionaires get richer, everyone else here gets screwed. That's what they're doing. And that's where we all come in. Because Texas Democrats, independents, Republicans, progressives, conservatives, all of them, they hate this kind of a scam. That's why me and Bernie are here in McAllen. That's why we're here. Because Donald Trump built support here by lying to everyone to their face. He said he was going to be on the side of workers, and he's only on the side of his rich friends, and he's proving it. He's proving it. That's why, right after this, we're headed to Amarillo and Fort Worth, traditionally conservative areas. Because we are in a moment where it's not just left versus right. It's the billionaires versus everyone else. And we have to go talk to everyone else. Everyone that feels betrayed and lied to. And people ask me all the time, Greg, what should I do? Here's something you can do. You can do the exact same thing that Bernie and I are doing. Raise your hand if you know someone who voted for Donald Trump. It's basically everyone here. Keep it raised. Raise your hand if you voted for somebody that sat out this election. Keep your hands raised. Now, keep your hand raised. Now, only lower your hand if the person you're thinking about is a billionaire. Okay, so everybody, if you have your hand raised because the person you're thinking about isn't a billionaire, that means you have someone to go talk to. You know someone that's been screwed over. You have someone whose vote you can change. The person you're thinking of might get kicked off their health care, might have their hospital closed. They've had their costs go up. And if they're not a billionaire, they're not getting anything good out of this deal. Hint that we know that Trump said he was going to go after gangs. But he's coming after our families. He's coming after teachers and firefighters and moms and dads and kids, citizens and non-citizens alike. They didn't vote for that. Nobody voted for that. So McAllen, our job is to go and talk to our family. Go and talk to our coworkers. Some of those folks may even be here in this room. Have a conversation. We may not be able to convince everyone, but person by person, we go and build a bigger team. You can be that organizer, that labor organizer. You can build a bigger team. When working people stand together, when we look past some of our differences, we can defeat the corrupt politicians and their billionaire donors. We need to do it because if we don't do it in Texas, we're screwed all over the country. It's up to each and every one of you. We're going to put it all on the line. Each and every one of us has to put it on the line. We can save people's health care, save countless lives, save our families from being ripped apart, save our democracy, save our country. It's in our hands, guys. It's in our hands. But there's one last thing I want to say to y'all before I call Senator Sanders up. If we do this, and we win back the valley. We transform our party. We kick out people like Monica de la Cruz and Greg Abbott. If we do that, the Democratic Party cannot leave places like McAllen behind ever again. I'm going to say it again. The Democratic Party cannot leave the valley behind ever again, cannot forget working people ever again, cannot cater to corporate interests instead of the people pulling 712s here in the valley working harder than any damn politician. We can't leave them behind. First order of business, we got to raise the minimum wage from $7.25 to $17 an hour. Second order of business, we've got to tax billionaires to cut costs of childcare, housing, healthcare, and create great jobs and great schools right here in the RGV. And maybe we stop picking on gay Americans and women and immigrants and instead expand people's rights. The right to reproductive freedom, the right to a union, a pathway to citizenship for our families. Let's make people's lives better. There can be a better world after this one here in Texas. And to make it all stick, here's the big revolutionary idea. We get big money out of politics. That means banning stock trading by politicians, getting these super PACs out of our elections, and making it so that some lobbying group doesn't get to pick your politician. Voters get to unelect and elect your leaders. That's how it should be in the RGV. I know it feels hard right now. I know it can feel far off. I know that the road is long, and you've probably been promised stuff like this by tons of politicians. The road is long. It can feel sometimes like you just got to give up. And I feel that way sometimes. But then when I have that thought cross my mind, I think about a guy who has never given up. A guy who's been spreading this message day after day after day. No matter what people say, he keeps telling the truth. He's our champion for working people in this country. He's our warrior against the corruption and the cruelty. He's all of our Senator. McAllen, I'm proud to call up our Senator, Senator Bernie Sanders.